Today, a shooting at a Texas high school. The drug cartel gunmen are taunting Texas National Guards while carrying AK-47s. Can't wait to get into that one. And Chinese state media warns the United States that war may be triggered at any time over Taiwan. We have got a lot to get into today, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez. Today, we have a full table. And I'm just saying, I'm really excited for it. We have got three people here today. We've got Jaco Booyens, BlazeTV contributor and host of the Jaco Booyens Show. We have Jason Buttrell, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program, and also on his maiden voyage on the show, we have Sean Fitzgerald, who is a host of Actual Justice Warrior. You can find him on YouTube. I love the name.
Thank you.
Personally, Thank you. Actual Justice Warrior.
I thought of it all by myself.
Did you?
Yes,
and also, you're here from New York. So the first thing I have to ask people who are in from a place like New York or California is like, does it feel like you're visiting a different country now when you come to a free place like Texas?
Yes and no. You know, I still know it's America and all that, but it's nice to see people not wearing masks.
Yeah.
And I love the little Uber thing I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah.
That when you order an Uber, since Uber mandates that they have to wear masks, the drivers come up with it below their chin, and then they see if you're wearing it, and if you got it, then they pull it up. If not, they just let it ride.
Yeah, they're
so
they test you first to make sure to see, okay, do I really
see if you're
have
gonna
to wear
snitch on
this?
them or something like
Sean,
that.
how about people just being nice in Texas?
Right. It's not really a trait that I've seen in New York personally.
I like the New York rudeness. It's kind of a part of the city.
It's like home to you.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep being nice to you.
Yes, of course. All right. So for some serious news to get into, just to kind of start off, a Dallas area high school, not too far from here, the studio actually, there was a shooting. This was a Timberview High School, and it has injured 4 people. The suspect was apprehended and is in police custody. Here's a little bit of what that was like for some of the students in the school. Here, and again, it's just gunshots, but you can see on their phone, just as you would expect, kind of chaotic going around. But so, and this is all, I don't think I have heard from a source credible enough to say this has been completely verified, but we did hear that it was due to a fight that broke out. There is a video of that fight that has surfaced and is making its way across social media. Again, I'm waiting for the police or someone from the high school to confirm that that is in fact the suspect and someone else. But that's what the alleged reason was. And you know what? I'm just going to pass it to you guys. I do just want to say I don't want to speculate too heavily on things that are unknown at this time. But I will say I am very weary of all of the gun control, calls for gun control, before we even know how he got the gun, whose gun it was, all of these things, whether or not it was purchased legally, and we could not have prevented this from happening with any more new laws. And also pay attention to the people who are preaching this from their ivory towers with their 24/7 armed security. Somehow we can't find it reasonable to protect our babies in schools.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all too predictable, right? I mean, within minutes,
Right.
the usual people that were talking about this always come out and call for more gun control laws, common sense gun control laws.
You don't even know how. You have no idea what the gun was, how he got to it, if any of your stupid laws would have prevented any of this.
Right. Well, you kind of, it's a self-own in what they're saying because they don't understand it in general anyway. Mm-hmm. But I'm not exactly sure what gun control law would have prevented an 18-year-old, this is the alleged suspect, an 18-year-old. One person was laughably trying to say this is because of Texas's recently enacted open carry law.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be 21 years old to do that anyway. He's allegedly 18.
He also is not open carrying it into a school.
Right, so it's illegal there. You can't take it into a school. That's illegal.
Right.
We've got laws governing those things, so you're going to add in more that would have maybe stopped this.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, have you thought about making it extra illegal to bring
Extra
illegal,
That probably would have solved it.
That's a great point.
It's like
Texans
extra.
don't have that on lock right now.
Yeah, it's like extra flaming hot Cheetos.
Like if you put a sign in front and you say, "Hey, you're not allowed to do this," it would have been fine. This young upstanding citizen with the gold teeth would have just not fired in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, I mean, it is frustrating because it's like it's a double crime now. Now they're really going to pay attention, Yaku. It seems as if criminals will just criminal. And I know those of you out there, look, we are trying to digest the news and give it to you in a palatable manner. The only way to do that is to kind of make light when we can. I will say, thankfully, we have heard so far, at least as of the time of this taping, no one has died. There were 4 people who were injured, 2 who are in critical condition. But we are, praying for their families.
Yeah, and to add on to that, it's what's laughable about this is the political actors that take advantage. Mm-hmm. That's what's laughable about this, because it's so ridiculous. Actually, it's actually tragic that they continue to do it, but you got nothing to do but kind of like, I cannot believe this is still. I mean, they have all this faux outrage and faux concern
and feeding off of people's emotions.
Right, and it's actually making it more dangerous. And this pisses me off because it is so tragic that these things continue to happen. And one thing they could do that they so far refuse to do is take actual physical security seriously at these schools.
I know.
They keep saying we got to do something. Okay, yeah, do something.
Right.
Improve the security of the schools.
Right.
Have armed security at the schools. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yep.
There's a school that I will not name, but to this day I can walk straight into the school and have free reign of the hallways. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. But they'll send emails out and say, we take, your school safety very seriously.
Right.
Do you? Yeah. Because I could walk in right now.
Yeah, and that's not just a gun issue, Jason.
I think we're having technical issues with your mic. So I'm gonna get right back to you.
He was gonna disagree with me.
I know it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let him as soon as we get the mic issue fixed.
Sabotage.
So let's work on that. But it is very frustrating because I'm the same way. And again, I hate having this conversation anytime something bad happens. But it's like you're continuing to leave our children just as sitting ducks, while you yourself have this 24/7 armed security, and you're not willing to even have a conversation about how we can at least protect them better than how they are protected right now. Mm-hmm. Well, if you really care about the kids, why can't we have that conversation? Because I would have absolutely no problem with my children having armed security at their schools, going through some sort of metal detector or some sort of device that they would pick up on any of this stuff. They do it at airports. They do it at football games. They do it at concerts. They do it all of these places. They do it when you go visit the White House or Congress. They do a little bit more. They're a little bit more secure there as well. So apparently it's great for them, but not for the children of our country. Yaku, your mic has been.
I don't know. Is it?
Yes, I'm told in my ear that you're good. So now I'm waiting for your fight with Jason.
Let me fight Buttrell. No, but it's not just about guns, though. The security in school, because we want to make this a gun issue, and this is what they're going to do.
Right.
Straight to the gun, jump on the gun. This is our gap for the Second Amendment. Let's not talk about, any ethnicity involved here, because that's not being discussed, okay? Because there's always white guy bad, right? No, but it's not just about guns. School safety is more than gun. You shouldn't be able to walk into a school for a myriad of reasons, but the overlying issue here, I remember that, when I was in school, we had to fight. We announced the fight a day ahead of time. We're like, tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Flagpole,
right? This wasn't a today issue, okay? The kid shows up at school with a gun for another reason. Something happened yesterday. It's a run-on situation that comes to a head, right? Oh, this points to the broken public school system in America, right? The disengagement between the teachers and the student, that they don't give a rip about I'm saying it. That the kids run the school. There's such a, hey, I'm gonna fight for me as a teacher, you fight for you as a kid. This thing has been running on to a fight. It didn't just happen today. Oh, you want to fight me today? Hey, I gotta get ready. I got my 6 gun and I'm ready for you. No, it's Plant Plus. It's a kid with access to the school. He's got student cards. He can get indoors and through gates. And so, yeah, are there metal detectors, and should there be? Our church, you can't get into the church without a police officer that's armed at the door standing there and making sure nothing gets in there. So I agree with you. I wasn't disagreeing with Jason. I was just saying, let's not just make this a gun issue. This is a student safety issue for some predators, pedophiles walking into the school, whatever that is, right? I mean, so you're right. You shouldn't have access to a school, but they're going to make this a gun issue because gun bad, gun bad, right? Gun can do a lot of damage. No, it can't. You know, it's people bad. People with bad intentions, people that are not raised right, people that are not profiled, people that are not, you know, held to account, right? And some of these issues are running wild, coming to a head, unfortunately. Now, thank God nobody lost a life. So, yeah, it's not gun.
Yeah, Sean.
It will be a gun issue to the extent that it's covered at all, because there's not a lot of victims, thankfully. We're happy about that. And because of the demographics of the shooter, which is more representative of mass shooters across the country, the ones that don't get reported, this issue will likely go away. And I would like to see what happened in this school system. Like, if there were some disciplinary changes because they didn't want to be punishing certain demographics of students disproportionate to their population, but actually proportionate to their behavior. So if it comes out later that they lack security measures in this school, which we've seen in other places across the country, and this kid was allowed to get in there despite a bunch of like school level priors, then that's never going to get covered. It will just be local guns, if at all. It's not going to get any national attention. They caught him, that's it. The only reason we even heard about it is because he was on the run for a while, and now they're like, all right, let's just get rid of this. He's done.
That was brought out at the Parkland shooting?
Yeah.
There was this big program in Florida, and I think it was all over the country, but something they called reducing the school to prison pipeline.
Yeah. Restorative justice in our schools. Yeah.
So to stop that, they just stopped, kicking kids out of school for, doing really, really bad things, multiple other things, but disciplinary action was just completely thrown out the door because obviously ignoring it is going to fix the problem.
Yeah, but it's woke culture. Now you're going to blame the gun, but it's woke culture. Woke culture has no consequence. So this kid and others around him, whoever was in the fight, there's a run-up. Nothing just happens. There's always signs and signals if you're willing to pay attention. And the teachers, the principal, probably the superintendent have known about issues running up to this moment. So they're complicit. It's on them. Mm-hmm. They're allowing this stuff to come to head, and then gun bad. It's always, and you're right. So, yeah, it's woke culture has infiltrated our public school system. If July was here right now, he would go off on
he would.
Ban schools.
Yes, he would.
Get rid of public schools. I mean, he would. And shout out to my boy. Yeah. Eric July.
Anybody see anything in any of the articles about whether or not this was an argument over wearing your face mask in school? That could have set it off.
I did not see
Possibly.
anything about
that was totally a joke.
Could have been a jab argument.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a sad state of affairs when I actually didn't know you were joking because I'm like, well, maybe.
Possible.
Right? Like that's where we're at in America in 2021 right now.
Makes sense. Shoot somebody for not wearing the mask. That could kill you, so you try to kill them.
I feel, hasn't that happened?
Yes.
There have been people who have been shot over the mask thing, so.
Crazy road rage right now in Hawaii because they're forcing you to wear your mask on the beach. People getting out of their cars, running after people on the beach for not wearing a mask. Insanity.
That's incredible.
The island's a volcano. They got bigger problems.
Right.
I agree.
You could not pay me to go to Hawaii right now for so many reasons. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Home Title Lock. So the Social Security Administration's computer servers are 45 years old, and Health and Human Services computers are 50. So I don't know. I'm not like a computer scientist, but that could potentially be how cyber criminals hacked the U.S. Census Bureau's computers, where just all of your details, all the details about your life is stored. So no big deal, no worries. All right, cyber crime, specifically home title fraud, is a huge deal. The FBI calls it one of the fastest growing crimes in the country. And it's very easy for them because they can just go online where everything is kept now, including your home's title. They find your title, specifically if you have a lot of equity in your home, and then they can forge your signature showing that you sold it to them, and then they have access to all of that equity, which often cases is your retirement nest egg. So Do not let this happen to you. You do not have a identity theft program that will protect you. There's no banking program that might protect you from this, but Home Title Lock will. All right, you got to go to HometitleLock.com, register your address to see if you are already a victim before it is too late. If you use promo code RADIO, you will get 30 free days of protection to help you manage. That is HometitleLock.com, promo code RADIO. Just an update on what's going on at the border. I would say that it is still a crisis, even though the mainstream media, I think, has forgotten and moved on to other things. Reports surfaced today, that gunmen for the drug cartels south of the border have been taunting Texas National Guard soldiers by standing across the Rio Grande with AK-47s. So this is from Bill Malugan from Fox. You guys who are watching can see this. And Texas GOP Governor Greg Abbott tweeted earlier this week, Texas National Guard is gearing up at the border for increased caravans attempting to cross the border caused by Biden's open border policy. They're working with the Texas Department of Public Safety to seal surge locations at the border and arrest trespassers. This is just incredible to see. But why wouldn't they? I mean, if you are part of the cartel and you know that you can get away with whatever the hell you want, why wouldn't you go and taunt the National Guard over at the border?
I'm glad this came out now so that people can actually see it, but there's nothing new about that.
Yeah.
No.
That's been going on for a very long time. They're a little bit more brazen during the daylight now, which is, that's a little bit surprising. We went down, 2015, something like that, and Glenn went down as well. And the Border Patrol were telling us about how they'll fire off shots, automatic weapons across the border. The Border Patrol will go in that direction, and then their little thermal imagery will see cartels bringing people over.
Yep.
That's how they operate. The cartel owns that border. They control it.
Yeah.
And it's a $150 billion industry just in human trafficking. Some people say it fluctuates between they make more money doing that than taking drugs across. This is, again, we talked about earlier, this faux outrage or faux caring that the left has. They don't give a crap about the immigrants that are coming over. They don't care about them. They care about what they can weaponize the issue for, how they can gain power and control off of it. That's the only thing they care about. But when they project that faux, caring, that faux empathy, then you invite this stuff to happen. You make the humanitarian, you actually create the humanitarian crisis that you say that you're fighting against. No, you're creating the humanitarian crisis, and they're giving $150 billion to drug cartels, the people that cut people's heads off. That's who they're enabling here.
Yeah. And I want to, and I know Yaku. For those of you who don't know Sean, this is his issue. He does a lot of work at the border with human trafficking. But let me throw in. I want to get your thoughts. Let me throw in former Border Patrol Chief Rodney Scott, who is talking on, I believe this is Fox News, talking about how many documented people have gotten away from stuff like this, where they fake what's going on over here, as Jason was alluding to, and then use that as their opportunity to bring people over the border. Watch.
It's basically just think like football. Basically, they fake a play over here, and the real play is going to the left. So when we get distracted with 15 to 20,000 Haitians under a bridge, that resulted in several hundred miles of border having no Border Patrol agents on it at all. That's where the cartels push the narcotics through, the criminal aliens, people that will not give up. We have over 400,000 documented gotaways, people or incidents where people crossed the border and got away this last year, and hundreds of miles of border where we have no idea what took place. That's what mass migration creates.
Awesome.
400,000.
400,000.
Yep.
Wonderful.
We're back on the border here in a couple of weeks, and whenever you see an AK-47, Jason, when you see an AK-47, it is all things evil, because it's the gun of choice of all militia, and so they are brazen, now more brazen than ever before. I can honestly say this: the left they're killing Americans by the hour. The amount of fentanyl that's flowing across the border, and they're 100% using children now to bring the fentanyl over. It's children. The children are trafficking the fentanyl. And fentanyl, remember, was brought over in a powder It's not even powder anymore. They now have formulation labs, like almost GMP5 labs on the Mexican side, formulating these things to not kill you in a pill form and bringing them over. So there's so many things, whether it's human trafficking and rape and plunder and taxing our system and building a voter class and literally killing people, killing Americans, right? Getting us dependent. The last 50 miles of that border is controlled by the cartel, and I am absolutely set on making sure that people know that the Mexican president is tied to that cartel. He's allowing it to happen, and our government is having no responsibility. They're not holding him responsible. They're putting nothing on him as a president, saying, dude, you got to do your share, your side of the border. This is your country, it's your people, right? No, he just gets a pass, right? So why? Because it is that virtue signal of we love people while we're killing people.
Yeah. Sean?
Yeah, I mean, the taunting our soldiers at or Border Patrol at the border, that's nothing new. I'm glad we're seeing it in broad daylight, so people are getting to realize how bad it's going to be. But this goes to like the fundamental issue I had back in the Trump administration. Back when we were like incarcerating kids, remember kids in cages, the big thing that everybody cared about, that now all of a sudden they're just detention centers for children. They're fine now, even though there's more of them. There was never a point made by the Trump administration or anybody that I saw that the reason we do that is because if we go soft on immigration, if we pull a Joe Biden and we say everybody's going to be welcome, then we're going to see people flood over the border and way more people are going to suffer due to the fact that we don't enforce our laws the way that we should. So 400,000 people, that's the people that made it. There's going to be a bunch of people and a bunch of children that didn't make it along the way. It's not like you do business with these cartels and you come up a little bit short and they're like, don't worry about it. We got you next time. No, something bad happens to you if you're in that instance. So we need to make the moral case for border enforcement better. And Republicans need to make it better because, again, that point wasn't made during the Trump administration.
They're not showing up, Sean. The Republicans aren't showing up on this issue.
Yeah.
I'm asking our own governor. Come on, Abbott. Step up, like seriously step up. I can show you a list. When you start racking up all the consequences, all the things, and it's Texas for crying out loud. We're taking the brunt of this. We're feeling it. We're going to go down and visit with the ranchers and the first responders and the Border Patrol agents, and we're going to go take them food and care for these people. They're decimated. These communities are decimated. There's no food on the shelf. And yes, it is. He's right. Create a crisis here and then just 1,200 miles. You know how long 1,200 miles is? 1,200 miles. To protect, just Texas alone, okay? It's insane what's going on. And so, unfortunately, we're finding these children that are coming across all the way up north in Maine. Trafficking rings in Maine, in Chicago, Portland. I was in Portland this week. You know, Haitian kids in Portland into trafficking rings.
That's an important point to make, is when we talk about human trafficking, I think a lot of people, especially people on the left, are thinking, that they mean they're helping families get across the border. You know, Coyote is helping families get across the border. No, yeah, and that does happen. But we're also talking about actual sex slavery here. Yep. Kids, small kids being brought over by very, very bad dudes for that purpose. Now, why would they be going from there to some place up in Maine? Like, why?
Trafficking.
Yeah, exactly. There's no other way to describe it. Or, I mean, yeah, there's a whole lot more being done here, except for just families coming over just to seek asylum or whatever.
Right. All right, we've got more to get into, but let's go ahead and take a break now. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So, if you have not yet gotten your Built Bars, you know what? I'm not even going to tell you. I'm going to have Jason tell you.
Dude, my wife, it's all over now. It's all over. I took those from you. I gave it to her. And she's like, can I have a few more boxes, please? And I'm like, I think she's probably just going to give us the promo code and have you call the number because I don't think she's giving you any more.
Well, yeah, no. Jason was like, my wife really wants to try them. Everyone talks about them. So I was like, I got the hookup. And did I not? I had so many in my room because I never know what I'm going to be in the mood for. So I gave her a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I was like, she's going to love these.
She goes, oh my God, the coconut, it's to die for. It's like a candy bar.
Yes.
And then she's like, oh my God, the mint, it's even better. And I'm like, stop talking about the Built Bars.
Like, I hear it all day at work, and now I have to hear it when I come home. You're welcome, Jason. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you very much.
That good.
It really is, and it's a protein bar, so it is good for you. It's low calorie, high protein, tastes like you're eating a candy bar. You got to try it. Go to built.com. Use promo code NEWS15. You'll save 15% off of your order over at built.com. Joe Biden is being slammed today after John Kerry, who is, he's a climate czar, right?
Yeah.
Did I get that right? The climate czar, John Kerry, flying his private plane everywhere, contributing to all of these emissions, but really cares about the climate and the environment. John Kerry said that Joe Biden literally did not know about a recent foreign crisis. This was in between the United States and France, and tensions rose after Australia had dumped a multi-billion-dollar contract with France for submarines and then made a deal with the U.S. and the U.K. instead. And the France actually removed, they recalled all of their ambassadors to the U.S. It was a big deal, but the president of the United States, John Kerry, says literally did not know about it. Let's listen.
And President Biden asked me about it, and I told him and expressed.
You told Joe Biden that it was not the right.
He asked me. He said, "What's the situation?" And I explained exactly. He had not been aware of that. He literally had not been aware of what had transpired, and I don't want to go into the details of it, but suffice it to say that the president, my president, is very committed to strengthening the relationship and making sure that this is a small event of the past and moving on to the much more important future.
Now, in typical administrations, you would say, okay, they're just trying to cover for the president. They don't want him to take the heat. But in this specific instance, when you have a president who is basically half dead, you got to be like, yeah, he probably didn't know about it because he's not making any of the calls. In fact, this is Joe Biden just yesterday. I still am having trouble trying to figure out what he was trying to say here. I would set it up and tell you what I don't know. I have no idea what he's trying to say here. Watch.
Parenthetically, when you build a charging station, it's like back in the day when my grandpa worked for the American Oil Company back in the turn of in the 1920 in that area. They went from state to state convincing people that allow them to put 20,000 gallons of gasoline under the ground. They didn't want them around.
Yeah, I actually believe that Joe Biden literally did not know about any of this. I really do. I guess the question is who is making the calls and who's calling the shots, if not Joe Biden, because we know that man standing up there is not making any decisions except what kind of pudding he is having after dinner.
But Sarah, he's really focused.
Oh.
He's really focused on solving the crisis. He's really intentional. It matters to him so much, America.
Yeah.
You have to believe. He cares about you. He just doesn't have the details.
Right.
There's no way John Kerry was trying to cover for him there, because if he was, that was the worst attempt to cover for your boss that I've ever heard. I mean, he basically just all but confirmed that the president's not running the country.
Not making the calls.
Right.
Yeah.
That was there's no, I can't see.
So do you think he shouldn't, was that an oops on him?
Oh, absolutely, I was an oops.
Really?
I guarantee you the communications director of the White House is livid.
He just seemed so intentional when he said it.
Maybe in his mind, he was saying, "Well, guys, you can't expect a man to do something about something he didn't know anything about."
Right. Well, that's why I felt like he was trying to cover for him. I didn't say he did a good job of it.
Put yourself in his position in the inner circle of the White House. Like, they're used to this, right? This is. I wouldn't doubt it if they had a conversation. Joe was like, "You guys know I didn't want to do this. You made me do this. I'm about to die. I don't." Wait, where am I? Oh, okay, yeah, this is where I'm at. So they're like, everything is delegated. Everything. Like, he put all this stuff on Kamala, and she's like screwing all of it up. All this stuff on all other people. His only job is to go to New Hampshire or Delaware, wherever he's from, Delaware. His only job is to go to Delaware on the weekends. Yeah. That's pretty much it. But yeah, they're all used to this. They know he's not in charge. They know he's not running the country. They're just too busy. Hey, Barack, what do we do now? Oh, you want him to do? Okay, well, we'll let him know for him, Mr. President. Bam.
Right.
That's pretty much it. There is no possible way an arms sale of that magnitude in a normal presidency, the presidents would know about this, right? He'd be making the calls personally. He'd be making the deal. Do you think President Trump wouldn't be dealing a multi-billion-dollar submarine deal?
Right.
No, he'd be arguing over every last cent. He'd be like, okay, you want you want to give me $5 billion? How about $10 billion? You know what I mean? That's how President Trump would be doing it.
Yeah.
There's no way any other president wouldn't be involved. It's absolutely nuts, and especially the fact that the ambassadors were getting recalled and he still didn't know. I mean, who's running this country right now?
I think Joe Biden has like low-key the best defense to any argument because they could come out and say he didn't know about that, no matter how big of a thing, and we'd be like, makes sense.
Because I've said that before too, or if he says, I don't remember that.
That's his
You'd be
defense.
like, I completely believe that, actually. He could get away with anything and just say, there could be video of him doing it.
And
then he'd be like, I don't remember.
He just deflects to talking about the gasoline under the neighborhood and how people didn't want it there and how his grandpappy was putting it in. And like,
I was waiting for Corn Pop to come back out.
Big fan of Corn
But
Pop.
also, like, France selling submarines to Australia and Australia backing out of the deal. The French should know, like, the Australians are criminals. You can't trust them. And the Australians should have never tried to buy submarines from the French. I mean, come on. I didn't even know they made them.
Actually, they've got quite the fleet. They've got France has a massive submarine fleet. No, but it is that. It's the plausible deniability that they now have at will, right? This is like, come on, guys. Don't beat up on the old man, right? The President of the United States should know if a tie moved in his closet. He should know everything in that White House. He should run the ship. But he doesn't.
I mean, if we had a president who
Actual
was...
president.
You just made me think that the White House might be haunted. The ties are moving around. Maybe that is what Joe Biden's focusing on.
That's just me. Something moves in my house, I know.
Okay, before we go to break, I do want to give you one more story having to do with Joe Biden. So apparently there's a report that came out today that some of the top COVID experts are telling the White House to scrap their widespread booster shot plan in a tense phone call. This was reported by Politico. And apparently they said, all of the phone calls are somewhat tense. This particular call was the tensest one to date. And you just have these people like, hey, we really should not be trying to push these boosters on everyone. It's hard to know whether, what their reasoning for that is. If it's because they know that they're the ones who are causing all of the vaccine hesitancy to begin with, or if it's because they know that it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't work, so don't do it. It's hard to even know why, but apparently they're arguing about it. And by the way, this is happening at the same time that Sweden just actually pulled the Moderna vaccine that they have in Sweden off of the market for children born after 1991, I believe is the date. So I guess not all children, but people born after 1991 because of, guess what? The heart issue.
Yeah, it says a lot that they're going against what the CDC is advising. So you've got a lot of smart people at the CDC, you've got scientists, you got all these doctors, and they're saying not to do it. And then you have Fauci, who is defying it and saying, no, I don't agree with all the rest of them. Do it anyway. It almost makes you think that he has some kind of motive going
Skin
here.
in the game, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, possibly if we find out that he was part of this group that was funding the creation of these vaccines, and now he's in a seat of power to where he can say, oh yeah, President Joe, maybe we could spend another $500 billion to buy from Moderna and Pfizer and all these companies so that we can hand them out for free, right? So just keep on. It sounds like there's some skin in the game there, right? I mean, am I allowed to say it's all about money, or am I going to get us kicked off the air? I don't know. Allegedly.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
our Lord.
I've been told that I have to give this disclaimer. We are not doctors. We are not trying to give medical advice. If you'd like to get medical advice, you should definitely visit your doctor.
Yes.
But we're also not stupid. Okay, so we're not doctors, but we're not stupid.
I'm just trying to get us not kicked off of YouTube.
You want to be stupid? Listen to Fauci. Go be stupid.
But our lords over at the CDC haven't approved the booster shot except for people who are immunocompromised, and they're already giving them out.
Yeah.
My mom's a nurse in New York. They're already offering the booster shot at her hospital for medical professionals. And they're offering it for now until later when they say, we're going to have to offer you a pink slip unless you get it. But yeah, it's not approved. I think Biden would probably argue that, I'm doing it just in case we all need the boosters or whatever. But it's stupid. It creates hesitancy. If you think, I'm going to have to get a booster shot every 6 months, 8 months or whatever, what's the point of doing it? I'm not in for that.
Well, especially with that is, again, I feel like so much has happened that people lose sight of this. That's not how they sold it in the first place. Yeah. They told us that it was going to prevent you from getting it. The vaccine was the prevention tool. It was supposed to be an actual vaccine. And now all of a sudden they're like, well, no, you just need a booster shot every once in a while. Well, it's totally fine. Oh, and by the way, when you get the booster, you're still going to get COVID.
Yeah. You know, the staff in the White House are asking the exact same questions we ask. They ask, who's running this place? Who's making these calls? It's got to be the worst job in the world right now to be in that White House. It's got to be absolute anarchy, circus show. This is why you see Kerry behave the way generals throwing him under the bus. It's like, it's got to be, it's about, I believe it's about to reach a boiling point where they're going to implode. They have to. How long can they sustain this back forth? Nobody knows who's running what. Where's the calls coming from? They pivot every day. They pivot. It's got to be even Saki. Yeah. I think her life is a living hell. Honestly, I don't have much respect for the women, but I think it's just behind the scenes. It's got to be real bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they can sustain it as long as people are scared of COVID.
Right.
Like, as long as you're terrified, then they can order whatever amount of booster shots, because we at the table are like, no, that's weird, doesn't make any sense. But people who are still wearing 27 masks, have gotten 3 shots, have never left their home in the last year, like, they're waiting for the 15th booster shot. So as long as you're still terrified, they'll be able to do it.
I'm sorry.
Last word.
Anyone that I just want to reiterate that. Okay, I'm just going to leave it out there. I'm just going to hang it out there if this sounds suspicious, and this is not tinfoil hatty. I mean, Fauci giving money to EcoHealth Alliance, funding all this stuff, all these scientists that are in his inner circle, that were on those calls, like right from the beginning, I'll talk in through the response. They're the ones that were given the money to finance. They were the ones working initially on coronaviruses to produce vaccines. So now, as you have one side saying, hey, I don't think we need these boosters, you still have that inner circle that we're funding all that research for the vaccines, saying, no, the government needs to spend billions of more dollars so we can keep pushing booster after booster after booster.
Because who?
Are we stupid?
Welcome to the dark side, Jason.
Are we stupid?
Yeah.
Sadly, a lot of people are.
Unfortunately.
A lot of people are. Hopefully they'll wake up, but I don't know. I'm not holding my breath for that one. All right, we got to take a break, but I want to first thank our sponsor, Uprising Foods. So, guys, Uprising is, look, you trust me on Built Bar, right?
Yeah.
I know my food and I know my health food, and I know that nobody wants to eat things that taste like cardboard. So I find the best health food, the best tasting health food, and bring it to you guys. Uprising's mission actually is to liberate all of us from a fundamentally broken food system that is stealing our health. And they know, by the way, that everyone likes their bread. Americans like their bread. Typical bread is not healthy for you, but you love it and you're going to eat it. So they have made this delicious bread that is really good for you. It's got 2 net carbs per serving, 6 grams of protein, 9 grams of fiber. So it's paleo friendly, it's keto friendly, it's low carb, of course, dairy free, grain free lifestyle. All of those fit within this bread. It is so good. It's got real superfood ingredients. They've also got these chips that you can get that taste like those old bagel chips that you used to get at the store that really are not good for you. Not good for you. These are. All right, you got to try Uprising Food. They are offering my listeners and viewers right now $10 off of the starter bundle. That's going to include 2 superfood cubes, the bread, and 4-pack of Freedom chips to try. I'm telling you guys, you're going to love it. You can go to uprisingfood.com/Y. The discount will be automatically applied at the checkout. That is uprisingfood.com/Y. After Chinese warplanes invaded Taiwan's air defense identification zone over the weekend, a newspaper that is run by, of course, the Chinese government, which I don't think there is a newspaper that is not run by the Chinese government in China, but they were warning this week that war between China and those countries backing Taiwan, such as the United States, could be, quote, triggered at any time. I know there's a lot to get into with this particular story, and I want to get your thoughts on this, gentleman. But let me first play the Taiwan foreign minister earlier this week speaking about war with China. Watch.
Defense of Taiwan is in our own hands, and we are absolutely committed to that. And if China is going to launch a war against Taiwan, we will fight to the end, and that is our commitment. And of course, during this period of time, we would like to exchange with other countries for security cooperation. And we would like to engage in security or intelligence exchanges with other like-minded partners, Australia included, so that Taiwan is better prepared to deal with the war situation. And so far, our relations with Australia is very good, and that is what we appreciate it for.
And it wasn't just a couple warplanes, by the way. It was like almost 150 Chinese warplanes since Friday, and that included 56 jets on Monday. So this is a very...
Which was a record, by the way.
Yeah, this is a very dramatic escalation on China's part. I just have to say, hey, you know what? When there's wars breaking out all over the world, I'm just really glad that we have a president that is like coherent and cognizant and making his own decisions. This is great. This is really great. I want to get your thoughts, gentlemen. I'm going to go to you first, Jason.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people throwing the war stuff around. In fact, they were hyping up China and Taiwan when Afghanistan was going on, because they were saying that China was going to take advantage and then finally seize Taiwan. Yes, China does want to take Taiwan. But there was a lot of hoopla, especially on social media, that this was going to kick off. And this was significant. This is significant. So what they did was there's Taiwan airspace, and then there's an extension just beyond that, and something they call an air defense identification zone. So basically, if you go into that, the other country knows you're in that zone, so the other country is gearing up to respond. So hostile nations will do this to measure the response.
Right.
And the other, I'm sure Taiwan probably does that on a smaller scale, even to China, just to see what the response is. Without getting too nerdy, right?
Yeah, please.
I don't see war breaking out here. I could be, the crazy things happen, right?
Yeah.
There could be a Hitler invading Poland moment, going on. So that does happen throughout history. But what China fears the worst is a United States response and blockading their largest ports. That is our response. That's U.S. Well, that used to be U.S. doctrine when I was in the military. And we would respond immediately with that. Yeah. Now, for China to invade Taiwan, they would have to build up a ton of forces. They couldn't just go all willy-nilly and just start attacking them. We would see a significant military buildup. We're not seeing that. Now, again, when we saw a significant buildup, the U.S. Navy would move into blockade.
Right.
So China knows that. They're not ready for any to do that right now. They have to. China's doctrine is to dismantle U.S. allies within the South Pacific.
Right.
Japan, bases there, bases in South Korea. Our relationship, improving relationship with Vietnam, the Philippines, Guam, all these locations. If you turn the map around and you're China, you're looking out into the sea and you see U.S. base, U.S. base, U.S. base, U.S. base. Now that's very strategic on our end, because we want to keep the flow, the trade flows open. That's why we maintain those. But we can also use that to blockade China if they get a little too cray-cray.
Yeah.
So that's the doctrine driving this. Now, China will eventually want to take Taiwan. They do, and they've told us that. They've made that's not a secret. But they first have to take care of those military bases and our allies there, and that's far off into the future.
Yeah.
So they've got some work to go. They're playing a long game. But if you're worried about an imminent, war breaking out, don't lose sleep over it, unless one of those crazy situations happens. But I will say, before I hand this off, that this is, I know, I'm filibustering.
You're handing it
this
off
hardcore.
to me because we're out of time. But hurry up.
But I will say, this is how dangerous things happen. If you remember, the Soviets actually shot down a commercial airliner with a U.S. senator that was a very scary time. So when all these warplanes are going into this airspace, it leaves open for a dangerous accident, which could happen. So that's my perspective.
All right, and he's taken everyone else's time, so we have to go to break now. We'll be back.
But if you're going to mock drill,
all right, don't forget to go to wherever you get your audio podcasts. You got to subscribe, rate, and review the news and why it matters. It will help more people be able to find the show. And also, as an added bonus, you may see your review read live on air, like the one today from Laura Laffa, who said, 5 stars, best show. Honestly, the best show around. Yako and Eric are 2 of my favorite contributors. I feel less alone after hearing similar concerns discussed. I watch on YouTube, but had to come give the love here. Thank you, Sarah. See, that is what a good viewer does. I know a lot of you are watching on YouTube and you're too lazy to go around to the phone and go do it, but it's going to take 2 seconds and you may see your review read. So go get your reviews in. Thank you, Laura. Also, make sure to find Sean. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/actualjusticewarrior, on my new Instagram, instagram.com/actualjustice, and on Twitter at IamSean90. Brand integration, what is that?
well done.
Dang.
Well done.
That just rolled off your tongue. That was great. All right, thanks, guys.